What's that story you've never been able to tell? I found out when I was 28 that my dad's side of the family had been in the witness protection program my entire life, and that their names were not what I had been told. Jesus, what are they hiding from? About 6 months ago, I was very close to suicide. I actually was about to do it. Thinking about killing myself, and at one point I had agreed to myself I would end it. I got home that night and it was just me and my cat as my fiancée was at work. My cat, I think she knew I was sad, and she never sits in people's laps, sat up in my lap and proceeded to flip on her belly and play wrestle with my hand. I broke down for about 3 hours. My fiancée came home knowing none the wiser, but had brought my favorite dish from her work, brewery, 'cause she knew I was feeling down. I've never told her that was the night I decided not to pull the trigger. It's so easy to become overwhelmed in this world. I'm glad to hear you decided to stay. I hope you are too. I cannot express how happy I am that you are here today to write about it. Thank you. When I was a college freshman, I tried to boil 3 eggs, then fell asleep. I woke up to a smell. I went to the stove and the water was completely gone from the pot. So like an idiot I got some water in a big bowl and poured it into the pot. You probably know where this is going. The eggs exploded like dynamite. Scalding hot egg hit my face. It blew me back and knocked me to the floor. Here's the scary part. I felt my face and looked at the egg on my finger but thought it was burnt skin coming off my face. I almost started crying. How badly burned was I that my facial skin came off to the touch? I walked to the bathroom, shaking, and looked in the mirror. I expected to see a horribly disfigured face, but I saw egg and eggshells. I wiped it with my hand and felt incredible relief. I also felt incredibly stupid, but so what, right? I spent the next hour cleaning egg off the ceiling, the walls, the floor, etc. My face was red for a couple days. Found an online profile of someone in another country. On a whim, decided to go on vacation together. Didn't do any communication other than email, got on 24 hours worth of flights, met up and paddled off that day. We spent 26 days canoeing from the tundra to the Arctic and didn't see anyone else the whole time. Edit, typo. That either sounds like the most awesome thing or the worst idea depending on how it went. That's madness, in assuming you had gone canoeing before? What made you want to do this? I had a chat with one of the most notorious pedophiles in my country. It was odd, he spoke in a way that made it seem like he was my age. I was 7. He eventually tried to trick me into touching his dick by buying me a hot dog and a soda. I only declined and bailed because I was low-key offended that he put mustard on the hot dog he was offering me. You're telling me this guy molested hundreds of children and served only 6 years? This is crazy. Me too. He used to creep around the soccer field my team used for training when I was a kid, Kringleborten. He told some kids to kick him in the balls for a 100 Norwegian kroner bill, and they did. The time my mum needed to go back into the house to get a scarf. Because of this we were held back and missed a bus by 10 seconds. That bus then crashed into a bridge at very high speed because the bus driver had mental health problems. It is the closest I have ever been to death. I will never complain about my mum going back to get a scarf in my life again. Something similar happened to me. I was driving my cousin and her husband. We were all very young in our early 20s. We were at a stoplight with limited visibility when I was overcome with heat. I was so hot I was compelled to try and take my sweatshirt off at the red light and asked my cousin to help pull the sleeve. It got stuck over my head and I missed the light right as it turned green. I went to hit my gas and her husband yelled, "Wait," from the back seat. An 18-wheeler ran the red and swooshed directly in front of our car. Holy shit, that is insane. Sometimes you just make it by the skin of your teeth, I guess. Back when I was in high school, I wanted to approach this girl on a bus on my way to school. She was really hot and I knew I'd regret it if I didn't approach her. There was one big problem. There was a middle-aged lady seated next to her and I couldn't talk to this girl with the lady right next to her. I had to think of a quick way to get rid of the lady. I then woke up from my seat, slowly walked to the row they were seated and calmly asked the lady, "Excuse me ma'am, could you please let me sit next to my sister?" Turns out the lady was the girl's mom. I'll admit, that is quite ballsy, but you really should have seen that coming. What did she say in response? In 6th grade one night I was like, I really don't feel like going to school tomorrow, so I looked up how to get a fever. I found a tutorial that said to take a bath at the hottest temperature your bathtub will go, and then stay up all night. I decided to try it and I started the water for a steaming hot bath. It stung to get in it, and I somehow survived it for 30 minutes. When I was getting out I felt dizzy and then I fell on the floor and had a seizure. I woke up and saw the blinding ceiling lights of the bathroom and the first thing I thought was, am I dead? And then I threw up in the toilet next to me and had a migraine for the night. And later found out I got first-degree burns. So long story short, don't do that. Did you go to school the next day? So you kinda tried to cook yourself. I've won. But at what cost? Task failed successfully. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.